Hey Savant Squad, what is happening? Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Savant Life, and also search for my page on Facebook and give it a big old thumbs up.
There's almost like there's no pickup on this bike. There's just practically nothing. Yeah, I'm trying my best to push it, to kind of have some fun with it, but it looks like this is not the kind of bike to have fun with. It's a very serious, refined, mellow, mature kind of a bike. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are riding the Honda X-Blade 2018, the latest offering from Honda in the 155 to 160cc segment. Let me just adjust the mirrors a little bit over here for better visibility. Now, anybody who follows the biking market might be wondering, why did Honda bring this bike out? Because they already have the Hornet and they already have the Unicorn. Well, I think the reason for that is, even though those two bikes are there and they have been there for quite some time in the Indian market, they've not really done all that well. The Unicorn actually used to sell the most, but the facelifted new version, I think, in face of all of the competition that has been around, has not really been doing all that well. And the Hornet, even though it's a really good solid bike from Honda, has not really set the sales charts on fire either. So Honda decided to go ahead and come up with something in between. That is an upgraded version of a Unicorn and a slightly more commuter version of a Honda Hornet, and that is really the X-Blade. If you look at the looks of it, it has a very aggressive, a very stylish, a very edgy kind of a design. But if you're really looking at the dashboard or the cockpit over here, it isn't really all that great. It just comes across as your typical commuter bike, and that I'm a little disappointed by. But I guess you really can't do anything much about that. This bike sits right in the middle of that segment. So it's about 4,000 rupees more than the Unicorn, and it's about 6,000 rupees less than the Honda Hornet. And for that, I think this is a very interesting offering from Honda. As you can see over here, there is no kill switch even in 2018. I don't know what is Honda's pet peeve with that, but they just don't seem to offer that on any of their entry-level bikes over here in India. But we shall talk about all of that and a whole lot more in just a little bit. This bike comes with 5 different colors. The one that I'm riding over here is the red one. You also get the X-Blade in a silver, in a green, in a blue and a black. So there's plenty of choice for you to pick from. However, I think personally the red one looks the best, if I was to make an informed comment. Let's talk about the dash a little bit over here. So for the first time ever, you've got a gear indicator on one of these entry-level Honda bikes, which is pretty cool. Everything is digital, and the look and feel of the console is very much like the Honda Hornet. The mirrors are quite functional, but again, they don't really go with the look and feel of the bike as such. They look very plain, rather basic, if I'm being honest with myself. The tank has a very edgy, curvy, beefy kind of a look. I love the Honda logo, whatever said and done, and the X-Blade stickering on the side I think looks really fancy. But apart from that, the bike has a slightly old-fashioned look, especially when you're riding it. But when you're looking at it from the side or from the front, I think, especially from the front, because it has that, bug-eyed, very beefy sort of a headlight, so it makes it look really cool. But when you're riding it, you feel like you're just riding another commuter bike. Alright, let's put this into first gear and take off. I'm saying take off, but really, when I'm riding this bike, it doesn't really seem like there is too much potential to take off, especially after having ridden the TVS Apache RTR 164V. The performance of this bike seems very underwhelming, but really I shouldn't have had too many expectations in the first place, because even if you look at the Hornet, which is naked street bike that competes with the likes of the Gixxer and the FZ and all of that, even the Hornet does not really have great performance or power. Now this bike comes with the same engine as the Hornet and the Unicorn. It's a 162cc engine that can produce 14 bhp of power and about 14 newton meters of torque as well. So it has 1 bhp less than the Hornet, and having ridden the Hornet, I think I can really feel the difference over here. Even though it's 1 bhp only, it feels like a whole lot more when I'm riding this bike. And I can see how this would be a very commuter friendly bike if you're one of those executives who rides a bike to work and you wear a laptop bag, or you're a salesman who has to travel about 50-60 kilometers every single day. Then I think a bike like this would really be right up your alley, because it has interesting looks, it has power when you really push it hard, but it's very comfortable at the end of the day. This is the kind of bike that you can meander through city traffic, you can crawl through all of the choked lanes and arteries of major cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, etc., without really feeling the heat, without really getting tired, without really putting any kind of pressure on your back or on your wrists. So from that standpoint, I think the X-Blade really lives up to expectations, no pun intended. But it's not really my kind of bike. It's not the kind of bike that I would recommend youngsters to buy. If you're anywhere between 18 to 22, 23, and you're looking for performance, you're looking for fun, then I think there are much better options out there in the market. You've got the Pulsar NS160, you've got the NS200, you've got the Apache RTR 160, the RTR 200, you've got the Yamaha FZ 2.0, you've got all of those plethora of options that you can choose from. But this is more of a bike for a slightly more grown-up audience who just wants to have the reliability and the stability of a Honda product while having the looks that make it seem like it's an exciting bike when it's not really. The automatic headlight on, such a pain in the ass, I tell you. Okay, let's push the bike a little bit over here and see if it has anything at all. Nope, nothing, absolutely nothing. That's a tad disappointing, if I'm being honest with myself. Even though I knew what kind of a positioning this bike has, I was expecting it to have a lot more grunt and a lot more zip than it does right now. That's a pretty cool looking Duke 250, I think it was. He'd kind of made it all black. This is where the bike really excels. In this kind of traffic, when you're crawling, when you're creeping, when you have to constantly stop and start, like, I actually feel no weight of it on my wrists. My back is completely upright. The riding posture is very commuter friendly, and I don't feel the weight of the bike at all. Even though it weighs in at about 140 kgs, I have not felt any of it while I've been riding all of this while, and that for commuters is a great thing. The other thing with this bike is that you sit very tall in it. Even though my feet are touching the floor, I don't know if other people who are about 5'6", 5'7" would be able to do the same thing. And it's not just that, when you sit in the seat, you're getting a very tall, elevated kind of a view. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just different. And it's so smooth. I mean, what else would you expect from a Honda bike? Whether it's the Unicorn, whether it's the Hornet, the CBR, they're all smooth. They're all really smooth. And so is this one. It's just not that much of a positive for me, because I don't really care about that kind of stuff all that much. But yeah, if you are going to ride this bike day in and day out for 50-60 kilometers, then I think its refinement and its smoothness would definitely impress you. The cornering also is not that great. It feels much bigger and bulkier than it actually is. So if you're looking to split lanes and do all of that fun stuff, you're not really going to have too much of success on the X-Blade. Considering it has such a cool, edgy name like the X-Blade, one would really expect a powerful, brutish kind of a bike. And I think they just gave it the wrong name, honestly. They should have called it something more stable. They should have just called it the Unicorn X or something of that kind. I think that would have made more sense. But when you call it the X-Blade, people all of a sudden have all kinds of expectations, and when it doesn't live up to it, it's a little disappointing. Let's just do a quick walk around of the bike over here. Let me just park it for a quick second. Like I said, the headlight over there is very, very unique and very distinctive. It's almost like someone who has a really long face and chin, but I think it still looks pretty alright on the X-Blade. This is really a commuter bike dressed up to look very fancy and to look very cool, but really it's a very refined, mature, sophisticated kind of a bike. The exhaust pipe is one of the most nasty looking exhaust pipes that I've ever seen in a long, long time. Of course, it also comes with the kick option, which is not surprising at all. I love the logo, love the stick ring, love the all black engine, but that's pretty much it as far as I can tell for the looks of the X-Blade. The tail light is also quite nice, but you'll have to chop all of this off to really bring out its appeal. Okay, let's get back on it and continue with the review. I don't think there is anything much that is left for us to talk about apart from the pricing. And as far as the pricing is concerned, the X-Blade comes in at about 94,000 rupees on road in Bangalore. Like I said, it's about 4 grand more than the Unicorn and 6,000 rupees lesser than the Honda Hornet, which is actually not a bad deal. The turning radius is actually surprisingly bad for a commuter bike because you're going to have to do a lot of turning, and I don't know how exactly one is supposed to do that on the X-Blade. That woman is riding her Activa with her cell phone tucked under her ear. There's almost like there's no pickup on this bike. There's just practically nothing. Yeah, I'm trying my best to push it, to kind of have some fun with it, but it looks like this is not the kind of bike to have fun with. It's a very serious, refined, mellow, mature kind of a bike. But hey, at least on the plus side, the suspension is pretty good. I just went over that hump and I didn't really even feel a thing. Yeah, you can't corner, you can't really push the bike, you turn up the accelerator and nothing much happens. That's the Honda X-Blade for you. But it's really good at this, at stopping. Especially considering that this is just standard brakes. It's not CBS or ABS, but it still gets the job done. I'm trying very hard to come up with some positives. This is usually my favorite stretch of the road, and yes, it's completely empty, but I don't have a machine between my legs that can really make anything much out of this road. Such a disappointment. Oh, I just realized that the speedometer on this bike actually works. It's not 0. So yeah, I was going at about 80 kilometers an hour, but it didn't really feel fun or exciting at all. Not one bit. But it is a very stable bike. It is a very refined, smooth and stable kind of a bike. But the gear shifting is a little clunky. But that's the case with the Hornet as well, and that's the case with the Gixxer as well. The only bike on which I've not found the gear shifting to be clunky at all is the TVS Apache RTR 164V. It has a little bit of a grunt, but it's just a little too little, a little too late. I think that's the story of the Honda X-Blade 2018. It's a decent attempt by Honda, but I think they were majorly confused about how to crack the Indian market. They're doing so well in terms of their scooter sales. They sell about 3.5 lakh scooters every month in India. So they don't really need to worry all that much about how their bikes perform. And I think this clearly is an example of it. If they're really serious about the Indian biking market, they should take a risk, and they should bring in the Honda CBR 250RR and price it aggressively. See how the Indian market responds, because I think now more than ever, the Indian biking enthusiast market is ripe, and people are willing to put their money where their mouth is and go out and buy expensive bikes, invest in gear and all of that. Whereas this is completely in the opposite direction. This is for those people who, for the lack of a better word, you would call uncles, who kind of want to use this bike to get from point A to point B in a reliable and safe manner. And for that, I think this is a pretty decent bike, although it does have some flaws. The turning radius and its weight distribution, those kind of things are not that great. But apart from that, it's a solid B- kind of an offering from Honda. I don't think this is really going to do anything much for their sales. It's not really going to set the cash registers ringing by any stretch of the imagination. But I guess sometimes executives have a job. Their bosses tell them to kind of get their shit together and launch a new bike, and they do just that. And the result is the Honda X-Blade 2018. But hey, who am I to tell you that you shouldn't go out there and buy this bike, because it might just be very well suited for your needs, and if that is the case, then go ahead and give it a shot. But for right now, I think I'm going to wrap this video up. If you have any comments, any opinions about the X-Blade, then go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. And if this by any chance happens to be your first time at the Savant Life, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, also click on the bell icon so that you can be notified when yours truly puts out more new videos. I will see you in the next one. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Take care, ride safe, be good, and have fun.